Hello, fifth graders. So this is lesson 10, and I'm just calling it Making More Line Plots because we're just going to continue adding on, increasing some of the difficulty level a little bit from where we were at yesterday. Okay, so my first question you see right here on the screen is what information do you need to make a line plot? So what do I need to know in order to make a line plot? I hope that you're sitting there thinking in your head, what do I need to know in order to make a good line plot? Okay, so there's a couple things that you need to know, some things that are more important than other things. So some slightly important things are you need to know what is it that was being measured so that you can get a title and a label. But the most important thing that you need to know in order to make that line plot is what I'm going to reveal here underneath this green box. So this is kind of a technical definition about it, so I'll break it down here in a second. You need to know the data values and the frequency of the data values. Okay, so data values are your numbers. So if you were measuring the amount of dirt inside of different pots, it would be the numbers for the amount of dirt that's in each pot. And then the frequency is how often each amount happens. So let's say you have 5 pots and the first one has 3 inches, the second one has 4 inches, the third one has 2 inches, and the fourth one has 4 inches, and then this one has 8 inches. Okay, so your data values are 2, 3, 4, and 8. The frequency is how many times each thing happens. So you can see the frequency by creating a little table, and you can be like, oh, this one happened once, this one happened once, this one happened twice. Notice I'm using tallies, and this one happened a second time. So you can make just that quickly, you can make a little frequency table just like that, boom, boom, boom. And then you take that information in order to make your line plot. So that's what we're going to be working on today, is just looking at more of these line plots. And then near the end, I'm going to take our number values up a little bit of a notch to get us ready for what's going to happen next week. Okay, so I'm going to go to dual page here. Okay, so down at the bottom, I have, oh my goodness, look at all those numbers. The heights of students in grade 5, and these students were measured to the nearest half of an inch. Fractions. Oh, here we go. So I have all of these numbers. So in order to save time a little bit, I did a little bit of this ahead of time. So over here on the right, I made my frequency or my data table. And on the left, I have all the numbers that happen to appear. So all the data numbers that happen to appear over here. And then I've already done the tallies and the frequency. So let me show you what that looks like. So I went through really carefully. Hopefully I didn't make a mistake. And I put in tallies for each different number that was over there. So I put all my, sorry about that. So make that disappear. So then I put all my tallies in, and then I put the frequency. So that's just the number for how many times it happens. Okay. So the columns in this table are just showing the different measurement values and the frequency and the tally is just how often each one happened. Okay. So how is this information going to help us make that line plot? What's going to tell you these are all the numbers that need to have X's put above them. Okay. Now, like we talked about in yesterday's lesson, it would be so easy in life if we could just make a number line that said 50, 50 and a half, 52, 55, 58 and a half, and 60. But that's not how math works. We need to come up with a scale that has a consistent interval, or what are we counting by? So in order to do this, I came up with a number line, okay? So here's what I did. Okay, so you're going to notice there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 hashes on this number line. Now, I did not do an interval of any type of fractions. Okay, not for this one. This is what I did. Okay, so what I did was My hashes are happening every one, but I'm not putting every number underneath, and that's okay. So you can have 50 and then skip a hash and say 52, skip another one, 54. So my interval is counting by twos. However, I still have these little hashes in the middle to show where 51, 53, 55, and so on is. So now that I have this information there, I do need to make sure that I have a title. So I'm going to add that in real quick. So the title, oops, I don't have my, I can't type it. I don't have my keyboard out. I have it folded in half. So let me pull my pen out here. So my title would be Height of Fifth Graders. And then my label at the bottom would be that they were measured in inches. So then what I have to do next is I have to plot all this information. So at 50, I have to put 2 X's. So right above 50, I have 2 X's. And then 50 and a half. Okay, so here's a problem. I don't have 50 and a half. I have 50 and I have 51. So 50 and a half would go halfway in the middle. So those 6 X's are actually going to be floating above the empty space right about where 50 and a half would be. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And they're just floating right above this spot right here, which is approximately where 50 and a half would be. And then I go to 52 and I plot 2 X's. 55, 55, I need 6 X's. So we have 54, 56, 55 is right in the middle. So I need 6 X's there. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Sorry about that. It's going right through my title. 58 and a half, I need 2. So I have 56, 57, 58, 59, 58 and a half is going to be right here in the middle. So I'm going to put 2 floating above that empty space. And then at 60, I need 2 more. Okay, so sometimes we can create a scale along the bottom that doesn't show every single piece of data. We just need to have a way to be able to figure out exact or approximately where that spot would be. Like we had to do between 50 and 51, we had to have our X's floating above that space that's represented by 50 and a half. Okay, so let's look at another example of this. Oops, sorry, went too far. Okay, so here I have a data table for flour measurement, so some type of recipe, and the measurements are in numbers of cups. So when I look at this data table, I end up with 3 pieces of data, 4.5 cups, 5 cups, and 5.5 cups. And just for quickness, I already do have all my tallies done for this one as well. So when we look at this information, there's actually 7 total different recipes or flour measurements that are 4.5 cups. That's a lot. Okay, and then for 5, the frequency is it happens twice, and 5.5 it happens once. Now I'm going to show you 2 different ways that you could do this line plot. Okay, so I already have my title, flour amounts. I have my label for my number scale, it's cups. And then we're going to do it this way. So right now, the way it looks like is I have an interval of 1 between 4 and 5, 5 and 6. So I'm going to plot my information. So I have 4 and 5. Now, since I don't have a 4.5, it would be right here. So all 7 of those X's would get plotted 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 right above there. And then above 5, there would be 2, and above 5.5, so hovering in that empty space. Sorry, there we go. Between 5 and halfway between 5 and 6, we would have that one. Now, I could have, so that's one way of doing it, but I could have, let me erase all of this, done it slightly differently, okay? I actually could have added some little hashes, just drawing those in with my fingers, so sorry if they're not perfect, had added these little hashes that are about halfway. My stylus to work here. Move those a little bit. So I could have had my little hashes there, and I actually could have had these guys labeled and had 4.5 there and 5.5 there. And this time my interval is not a whole number, it's an interval of a half. So I'm going 4 to 4.5, 4.5 to 5. Now my X's would still look the same, okay? So I didn't have to have an interval of this fraction, but I can choose to do it one of those two ways. As long as your X's are plotted above the right spot, it's okay to do whole numbers and just have them floating, or you can have your interval of halves and then literally have them above a hash. It's totally up to you, as long as everything's being placed in the right place and you do have a scale that has a consistent interval. Okay, so I'm going to just talk about this one because this will get you ready for part of the activity that you're going to do today. When you go to independent practice. So in this one, this is something we would have done in class, and I would have had you walk around and pick a couple friends and everything. I just picked a couple of our class friends, and I put their names here. Now you're going to notice that it only shows their last initial. Because this is going out into the internet, I didn't want to show somebody's first and last name, but you can kind of get the idea of which of our 5th grade friends I'm talking about based on their last initial. So, and you're just going to have to trust me that I did count this up correctly. Okay, so what you would have done was go around the room and interview different people and find out how many letters are in that person's name. So you would have had to make sure that you were spelling their name correctly and everything. Okay, and I'm back. Sorry, I paused there for a second so that you wouldn't have to listen to my clock go off the whole way. So anyway, so after you interviewed your friends, you would have written down their names, and then you would have counted up how many letters was in each person's name. So my first person I have here is Aiden M, and his full name has 13 letters. And I have Lily E with 10 and Kenzie M with 15, and so on and so forth. So here's our data. So then what I would do with that data is create my line plot, making sure that it has a title. So my title, I don't know. Let's think about what the title could be for this. How about class names? We'll just use something from the information above. So we're going to put our title there of class names. Our label for our number scale, well, our numbers are representing the number of letters in each person's name. Okay, so that's going to be our label there. And then we need to create our little hashes. So I'm going to use my little line tool. When you guys do this later, you're going to have to use your little line tool to create your hashes. So I'm going to create a couple hashes here. Hopefully this works. 1, 2, 3. Sorry, they're a little diagonal. Okay, so when I look at my data up here, my lowest number is 10 and my highest number is 15. So I'm going to start with 10 and I'm going to put my number scale here. And just because it goes from 10 to 15, I'm going to keep an interval of 1. So I'm going to put, whoops, hold on, I'm still in my line thing. Oopsie. Okay, let's go purple. Okay, so we have 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, and 15. And then once I have that, I'm just going to put my X's on there. So Aiden M has 13. Let's go red here. Has 13 letters in his name. Lily has 10. Kenzie has 15. Wyatt H has 11. Colin L has 15. And Spencer O has 14. Okay, so once we have all that plotted, we have our line plot that represents that information. So when you go to your independent activity today, I'm going to have you guys using a Google Doc in order to make some line plots. So you're going to have to use text boxes in order to create labels and titles. You're going to have to use the line tool in order to create some of your hashes to figure out your number line. And then you're going to have to plot some information. And then the final activity, I'm going to have you figure out some information about some people, or let's say pets, that live with you, and to create a line plot out of that. So have fun with it, and I'll see you back here for your next lesson. Have a great day.